New dog.
Hi, I'm Eric Sabri, your Wayne County Treasurer. If you're living in the home of a deceased family member and you're facing property tax foreclosure, the probate process can be helpful to you. If you file a probate petition and notify our office, the foreclosure proceedings will be halted during the probate process. Contact us at 313-224-5990 or email us at taxinfo@waynecounty.com. We're here to help.
Good morning, everybody, and welcome to another episode of The Week That Was. I'm Saeed Khan, broadcasting from a white Detroit only when it comes to its snow. Of course, we are one of the most diverse cities in America, and damn well proud of it. Anyways, how's that for a lead-in? We are joined with the OG. We've got our original group of troika of attorneys. We got Joel Sklar, Bill Seikaly, and Steve Fishman. We've got community and labor activists, Barb Ingalls, veteran journalist, Nancy Derringer, a canine edition that Joel is now going to. The same way that Jennifer Lawrence apparently has resorted to.
He spoiled his kids too. He spoiled the dog and the kids.
I was going to say, we didn't hear the dog go, so I
dog.
Well, that's because of noise canceling microphones. And then, of course, we've got co-founder of Deadline Detroit, Allan Lengel. Well, in our fair city of Detroit, we had a visitor, and as we will, I'm sure, talk about, at least some Detroiters gave him a proper welcome or a proper send-off. Donald Trump visited the city on Tuesday and spoke at the august Detroit Economic Club. First of all, was anybody there?
No. Are you kidding?
Open only to its members and guests. And
we do have a video.
Trump was responding to a heckler who shouted what sounds like, quote, pedophile protector as the president toured a Ford F-150 plant.
President Trump appearing to give a heckler the middle finger and saying F you twice.
He got heckled by an auto worker. He's so unpopular, he turned a Ford plant into an Oberlin drum circle. Also, what does it say that the president of the United States heard someone yell pedophile protector and immediately thought, oh, he's talking to me?
Very true. Anybody else will go, what? Huh?
I mean, when I heard it, I thought he was saying pocket protector because, you know, I used to have one when I was in high school. So it triggered me to, what was it, trigonometry class. Well, first of all, before we get to his Ford factory debacle, I mean, did anyone get a transcript or hear his speech, even if they didn't attend in person? Nancy.
I was running errands that day, and it was on a couple of stations live, and I was listening for a while, as long as I could handle it. It's the same old bullshit over and over again from that guy, and it's. What blows my mind is he expects everything to be a rally now. It's like the idea of giving, like, okay, I'm meeting with my peers, business people, which is, of course, part of why he convinced people to elect him president, because he knows business. And I will speak to them peer to peer. He didn't do that. I mean, it started with the ridiculous playlist. He takes the stage with the Lee Greenwood song, God Bless the USA, but not at the end of the song where he can like walk on as it's ending and then start his speech. He comes on when it's beginning, and then he stands there and he sways back and forth. I mean, like people talk about how Biden had dementia. It's like, this guy is not playing with a full deck. And at the end, his walk-off music is YMCA, and he stands... he kind of stands there and he does this stupid Trump dance thing that he does. It's like he expects them to be, the same slavering fans that he gets at the rallies. And from what I could hear of the audience applause or audience reaction, with the exception of a few loud people in the front row who were, I later learned, the Maddox, Michonne and Matt, Perry, what's his face, the weirdo that was running, set all his money on fire running for president, and a couple of other people. It wasn't exactly like going to a Trump rally. So, I mean, he was talking about, he'd go off on these weird tangents and he'd say, my favorite word is tariff. and we're taking in all this money. We've never seen anything like this. You know, with that weird voice he's got, it was just strange. Sorry.
Nancy, because you were out and about and you couldn't see actually the footage, you missed seeing Stephen Miller standing in the front with a flute, playing it, and that's why Trump was swaying from side to side. So,
I was going to say that
I was there at the Detroit Economic Club in October 2024, right before the election. Did the same thing. I mean, he cheapens this what's supposed to be this classy organization. He did the same thing. He stood on stage, and it's great to be an American for like a minute and a half, and he's twirling around like he's at a Trump rally. He was supposed to talk for an hour and a half. I left after an hour and a half. He spoke for 3 hours. It's the same shit. And again, the whole tariff, I love my favorite word, tariff. It's so tiring, and there's so many lies sprinkled and inaccuracies in the speeches. It's just you can't even write about it anymore.
No, you really can't.
Oh, Steve.
But you know, it's become so normalized that we're not talking about it. People aren't talking about it enough. I mean, Nancy, I get the equivalency issue of Biden's decline and Trump's decline. Here's the difference. The people who are running the show behind the scenes believed in the system under Biden, and now it's Stephen Miller.
Right.
It's the Prince of Darkness himself.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Steve.
My question, two questions, and you journalists, will be able to answer this. A, why do they invite him? And B, why does anybody show up?
Because there's a Republican influence in the Detroit Economic Club.
Yeah,
and there's when I was there in October 2024, I mean, there were a lot of fans there clapping, and people loved them. And so, you know, they see it as prestige that you get the president. They don't give a shit that it's the most fucked up president we've ever had.
And he's delivering for them.
Yeah.
They're doing great. So, I mean, they can laugh at him and go home, but then they just check their balances and they're like, you know.
Yeah. That's very true. I went to the 16 appearance at the Economic Club, and Allan is right. I wrote their history, 100-year history. I'm a little more knowledgeable than some people are. They really pride themselves on having had every president since, I don't know, FDR or somebody has before them. If not while they were president, certainly while they were campaigning. I don't think they got Obama when he was in the White House, when he was on the campaign trail. So that is a big part. It's like it's yes. And the other part is Barb is right. It's like he's putting money in their pockets, and they're perfectly happy. You know, they'll put up with an awful lot of Gestapo tactics in Minneapolis before they complain about this guy.
So usually, I mean, being in the presence of captains of industry, they're a little bit driven by statistics and all. And usually people will come in, will talk about politics, and they'll back it up with data. His speech had neither. The other thing is there's a poll that has come out interviewing Michigan citizens, and it looks like MAGA is certainly in retreat. It looks like his disapproval is 51%. Economy is certainly the biggest issue of it all. At his speech, he called affordability a fake word after fawning all over Mamdani when he mentioned the word affordability in the White House. But I mean, yes, the stock market is up, but I mean, who's going to go ahead and take some money away from groceries to buy stocks? You've got the price of everything that is going up. You've got unemployment, which is sort of ratcheting up. Inflation is nowhere near where it needs to be, or that he promised. He hasn't delivered on the great manufacturing rebirth, either in Michigan or in the United States. I mean, how tone deaf is that speech to the reality of people? And the few hundred that were inside the Detroit Economic Club certainly don't represent the rest of the city or the state.
Hence the guy yelling from the shop floor in the F-150 plant. I mean, he didn't yell, "I can't afford groceries." He's a union worker. I assume he can, but he did yell. You know, he had another complaint that he wanted to air. So I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt there, but it's just
which was the one thing that got Trump's attention.
Yeah, exactly. So sorry.
Well, the look on his face,
Yeah.
You know, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Go ahead,
Steve.
Joel.
Go ahead, Joe. No, you go ahead, Joe.
But my only comment is, you know, I thought when all the immigration is going on that everything was going to get solved. Prices would go down, housing would become affordable, jobs would be plentiful. And I've come to the conclusion that there was never really an immigration crisis. It was an issue, but I don't believe it was a crisis. I think everybody bought into it was a crisis. I think looking back, you know, it wasn't a crisis. Having undocumented workers here helped our economy. So my whole looking back, I'm thinking, my God, did we all fall into a trap that there was a crisis when there really wasn't a crisis? It was an issue. We had to deal with it. But did we already buy that? I think we have. And I'm looking back, I'm thinking nothing has changed in the positive since you've begun your deportation, your immigration enforcement, which establishes to me that was always bullshit. Mm-hmm. And now what else is bullshit is everything else. But it bothers me enormously that hasn't been looked at, that it wasn't the crisis. It was an issue that could have been negotiated, and it was made to be this false villain by Stephen Miller, who, you know, and Trump, who crafted this. And I just have a lot of questions about, you know, this is all bullshit. The premises are all bullshit. They always have been.
Yeah. Right.
We have a video that sums it all up.
Why is the president of the United States declaring on Wikipedia that he is now the president of Venezuela? That's real. Why is our Fed chairman making what appears to be a hostage video? How the did steak become the healthiest food in the country? What is happening? We are on the Donald Trump gravitron. We don't know what up or down is. We just know it feels like we're all going to vomit.
Very true.
Everything Joel said was true, and everything we just listened to was true. But the saddest thing was what Saeed said. He has a 51% disapproval rate.
Really?
What the hell happened with the other 49%? There are 49% of the people in this country who can't come to conclude that they disapprove of what's going on. That's terrifying to me. And look, we are, for all practical intents and purposes, we can cry about this, we can wring our hands, we can yell and scream. We're losing. They are killing people, and they're shooting a woman and concluding she was trying to run over this guy. I'm shocked that he's still alive. When you look at the videotape, clearly that's not what happened.
And Trump wants.
No! Shame! Oh my God! What the fuck? What the fuck?
Dramatic video.
See, and people look at this and still find a way to defend the ICE agent and defend Trump. That's got to stop. And it's not going to stop just by us saying, "Oh, that's terrible."
Well, you forgot, Bill, the pearl clutching and the indignation of Minneapolis Mayor Jacob Frey using the F-bomb, which seems to be even worse than what this ICE agent did for some around America, including cable media or mainstream media. So, Steve,
suggesting giving absolute immunity to these ICE agents, making them above the law. That's a license to kill. Literally, it's a license to kill. And that is what he is suggesting. Let's fathom that. He has his own private army, people we don't know, haven't been vetted. God knows what they are. They're thugs, criminals, most likely. And he's going to give them a license to kill. And
so a whistleblower, Joel, seems to have released the names of thousands of quote unquote ICE agents. And I think some intrepid people are actually listing this with people who received pardons on January the 6th. Yeah. So more to be seen on that. Steve, and on the, also, Steve, I wanted to ask you, federal prosecutors have resigned, I think 6 of them in Minneapolis, because the DHS and the DOJ wanted, and as if things weren't bad enough, for an investigation of Miss Good's widow to see if, in fact, she was an agitator or an instigator as well. So.
Well, there's a couple things. I'm not going to go through the whole routine I told you guys about last week, but I don't think it's only 48% that disapprove of what ICE is doing. And I've seen a number of polls. It's a decent percentage of the public. that is completely opposed to all this stuff. In fact, back to Joel's point about the immigration thing, I think by the manner in which they're doing it, they're turning more and more people off. Doesn't mean, Bill, that they don't have a significant number of people who are never going to change. That I agree with you. But I think there are a lot of people, they keep seeing these videos. And keep in mind, when I was talking last Friday, we only had what you just showed, basically. Now, we've got videos from all angles, which make it obvious what exactly happened. It was a murder. There's not any doubt about it. The guy didn't have his foot hurt. It's all bullshit. That part's true. The question that I have for you guys, and I haven't really seen anything in poll-wise, my question is, it seems like now you're getting more of the protesters who are not doing what the governor and what the mayor asked them to do. They're creating more conflict and blah, blah, blah. And I just wonder how that's going to go to the rest of the public. I mean, I think when they were just obviously peacefully protesting and everybody was looking at it and seeing what they were doing, but now it appears that they're doing a little more. But to answer your question about the widow, I mean, it's ridiculous and it's astounding if you think about it. Who are we relying on? You know, what Bill was saying, who's going to stand up? Who has shown them? Federal judges and federal prosecutors. I mean, these are career prosecutors that step down from their job. They'll find another job for sure, but I can tell you from my own experience, people who work in the United States Attorney's Office, they dedicate themselves to serving the public, to serving the United States. It's not that they can't make a living. They'll be able to make a living. It's not that they're not fine lawyers. They are. But to force them to they have to take that step just to preserve their own integrity and to try to preserve the integrity of the office, that should tell you something. And I hope that non-lawyers, and I don't know if this is true, but I hope that non-lawyers recognize what I just said. I hope they don't just look at it as, oh yeah, they quit. Okay, I understand. They're leaving public service, which for them is a huge deal. Most of them stay and then they retire. I mean, literally, because that's what they believe in. So I hope that the public and certainly our listeners recognize what a big step that is that they took to defend the integrity of what, at least what should be the integrity of the United States Attorney's offices around the country.
Alan.
I think that on top of that, there were 4 people from the Civil Rights Division in D.C. who quit because they were blocked from investigating the shooting. We're seeing it all over. We saw it in New York with Mayor Eric Adams. There were criminal charges. They were directed to drop the charges, and a bunch of prosecutors quit over that. We're seeing it in so many places, in the Justice Department, the FBI. It's turning. It's just a total shambles. And the FBI, you know, we saw the FBI raided, I think a couple of days ago, a house of a Washington Post reporter in Virginia, which is tell you how, you know, for using sources and stuff like that, she was chronicling the changes of government under Trump. She had over 1,000 anonymous sources giving her direction on, you know, what was going on. To grab her electronics, her phone, her computer is the most outrageous thing. I mean, you know, in the past, get subpoenaed. The court can order you eventually to, you know, give up your sources or you go to jail, but you have that choice to be held in civil contempt, or I don't know if they can do criminal. She would know if you can do criminal contempt on something like that. But whatever it is, it's just outrageous. It's the Gestapo. I mean, there's no other way of putting it.
The night before last, and this kind of goes to what Steve was talking about, where the protesters are getting a little more aggressive, and consequently they're fighting back a little more aggressively. And they threw somehow a flashbang grenade was launched into a vehicle with 6 children in it. 2 parents and 6 children, including a 6-month-old infant. The thing exploded inside the van. The kids were taken to the hospital. I saw the parents interviewed on the local news. I mean, they're not immigrants, they're Americans. And they're like, we're just trying to get home. There was a woman who was dragged out of her car by, how, I don't know what they call it. It's like frog marching, where there were 4 guys each holding a limb. She was trying to get to her doctor's appointment, and they just broke her window.
She has a disability. She said,
I have a disability. She can't, and they drag her out. I was texting with a friend of mine who lives in Minneapolis. I said, "Is it as bad as it looks?" And he says, "It is absolutely as bad as it looks." He said, "There's a preschool down the street from his house that has a lot of Latino children enrolled in it." He said the place is deserted. It's like these parents are hiding in their houses. They don't want to come out. So what is ICE doing? They're going door to door, knocking on doors, saying, where do where does the Gomez family live? I mean, this is so far beyond, reasonable police tactics. It doesn't even count. I mean, I just can't understand why people aren't rising up. And all I can think is the thing that I hear from people at Grosse Pointe all the time is, "Oh, the news just upsets me so much. I just try to stay away from it." It's like, I'm sorry.
We've got to get a clip of that. That's Nancy. That was the best imitation of that.
You are the queen of voices.
Absolutely.
I'm going to take my Bobby Kennedy show invitation on the road one of these days.
It's interesting. Here it is. He goes in and arrests this Venezuelan dictator, whatever, who won't leave office after he was not reelected. And guess who tried to do the same thing? Then it's like in Iran, he's concerned about the protesters there. And meanwhile, in Minneapolis,
right,
we're having some of the same shit going on there.
Right.
So actually, on the anti-ICE protests and how they are getting, agitated to the point where Trump is now threatening to invoke the Insurrection Act. There's also a Michigan angle to this. Alleged and now proven to be Ersatz CEO was caught yelling at anti-ICE protesters and had to resign his position, apparently, at Harmony Investment, which is a Troy-based healthcare company. And this is Jaden Scott. Well, as if the news can't get any more bizarre, he wasn't even the CEO. The CEO of Harmony Investment was Zain Sikandar, one of my people.
That business is probably 2 card tables and a laptop computer and somebody calling himself CEO. So
listen, Nancy, that's such a slur. My people wouldn't do that. My people would have his mom there too. So
I did the story and I did the follow-up. I did the original story where this guy from Bay City goes and starts screaming at the protesters saying, "We killed one of yours and you're a bunch of fucking commie pieces of shit," or whatever. So, and then he puts on his LinkedIn page, "I've stepped down as CEO of this investment firm. The board and I have decided we have different visions of what America is." Well, the next morning I get a call from whatever his name is. And he calls me and he says, "Hey," he goes, "that guy doesn't even work for a company." He says, "I have a healthcare company and that investment firm." He says, "I have it." He says, I haven't launched it yet." He says, "We don't even have a web page." He created a fake web page. I went to the web page when I wrote the story. It was a fake web page. And he goes, "I know that guy. I told him a few things about my business." But he goes, "I'm so disappointed the press has been duped like that. It's crazy." So.
I'm like now having a true conundrum. I have to think that the guy on the floor of the Florida factory who did what he did, what if he would have said, "I'm the host of Deadline Detroit"? Do I lean into it?
That would have been fuck yous.
Has anybody looked at the GoFundMe page for that guy recently?
Right.
Well,
as of this morning, it was 800,000.
Yeah, 800,000.
The shooter,
every penny.
The shooter of good has over $1 million in crowd funding.
It's already
$1 million. The shooter, Jonathan Ross.
Right.
I mean, this is fucking nuts. And maybe a lot of these confrontations are created to get some source of funding. They're all bullshit.
Mm-hmm.
Again, it's theater. It's fucking nuts.
It really is.
You know what the problem is, though? The problem right now, there is a dizzying amount of outrage going on. And if you're even paying this much attention, you're like going like, "That's the worst thing." No, that's the worst thing. Jesus Christ, that's the worst thing. I mean, you can't even grab it. You sort of try really hard to, to find something that you can hang on to, and then something worse happens. And there's Trump doing a stupid fucking dance. And I mean, it's exhausting. And I think that there's a lot of people
that turn away from the news.
outraged.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I wish that guy would make up his mind. Are we retards? Are we commie whatever boomers? You know, sir, I am not a boomer. I'm a Gen X.
We're Generation Jones in between. So,
but the irony of somebody taking the time to post and say no one's watching us, where
while
he's
he's
evidently
watching
us.
That's what Trump would say about Jimmy Kimmel. Nobody watches the guy. He's watching him every night.
Steve.
I have a question for Nancy, and then it's for everybody else as well. When you talked about that, there's people in Grosse Pointe that tell you, "Oh, the news is so awful, I can't even watch it anymore." Are these the type of people who, they're not MAGA people, but they'll put up with Trump because they're living nicely and blah blah blah? What do you make of that when somebody says something like that?
That's exactly what I make of it. It's like, it hasn't touched me yet, and so, you know, when it touches them, maybe they'll change their mind. But for the most part, it's it's people who basically are in pretty good shape, and this is the way it always is. I remember during the financial crisis, I was reading like these stories, and the stock market was dropping like a rock, and there was talk about, we'd have to bring in cash to save these banks and so forth. And I'm like looking out my window at my little Grosse Pointe street, and I'm like, why aren't people running up and down the street with like bags of rice or something? I mean, it just seemed like it was a time for a panic, and nobody was really outright panicking. The panic was quiet, and it was, in the house somewhere. And so I think that's probably it. It's like, I mean, I look at our stock portfolio, it's doing fine, and that could all turn around tomorrow, but for now it seems to be okay. So
but my question is, and I obviously I don't know anything about Grosse Pointe, but let's just take it to other neighborhoods. Fine, your own life is still okay, your stock portfolio is okay. Do you think that your neighbors and the people that live near you, are they completely oblivious to what's going on with the rest of the country, with people who are regular people who can't afford their groceries, who have all these kinds
No, I think these are people. I mean, I know at least some of them had multiple Trump signs in their yard, before the election. So I figured they're just okay with it. The other thing we have to consider is how many people simply no longer consume what we would call like mainstream media anymore. They get their news from Facebook, from Newsmax, from the Charlie Kirk show or what's left of it, some podcaster, and they don't even question it. It makes them it reinforces their prejudices and their existing beliefs, and so they just think that these are that lady in Minneapolis was shot to death, but she was trying to run that guy over. And ISIS only arresting criminals. And,
But Nancy, isn't it also because, I mean, when people in Grosse Pointe heard about Iran this week, they thought, oh man, I wonder when that Contra affair is going to be done.
Okay, but on the other side of this, there are more and more people. They're coming out in the streets. There's organizing meetings everywhere. There's too many organizing meetings because we need, maybe two that people can agree with, and I think that the vortex of outrage is one thing, but I do think that it's hitting home to people. And I tell you what, it's really going to hit is this summer when you can't get vegetables because there's no one to pick them. When the food goes away. When no one's lawn is getting cut, which sounds like nothing, but that creates a rat problem. There's things, and I think that there's a growing awareness in the and I know people in Grosse Pointe that are very active too, by the way. I don't, but I mean, I think out in Detroit, in the city, and in your smaller places, people are getting it a big time. And there are ICE agents going into schools now in Southwest Detroit.
Yep.
I met a teacher last week at a friend's house, and kids are coming to school and their parents are gone, and they don't know what to do. She teaches 7th grade, so she has 7th graders that come in and they're dirty and they have no food and they're just trying to figure out what to do. And she couldn't, and this is a tough woman. She teaches 7th grade in Southwest Detroit, right? And she's crying. She's like, and you're helpless.
Right.
And I think that area is going to be a flashpoint. That's where we need to fucking protect. We can't protect children in this regime. The pro-life people. So,
well, Barb, you know what? When you're talking about the fact that we may not have vegetables this summer, it may not matter because Allan, I think you have a video regarding the new food pyramid.
I do. Let me get that.
Yesterday, Secretary Kennedy, he's been pushing all kinds of dietary guidelines. Was it just last week they announced they're flipping the food pyramid? And that looks unstable. And on Sunday, the White House followed that up with this post: "We are ending the war on protein." It's true. Oh, no, ladies and gentlemen, it's true. The war on protein is over. Americans are finally saying Merry Beefmas again.
It's funny. If you do your household's grocery shopping, you walk up and down the aisles, everything has protein added to it. There's protein pancakes. There's protein this. Every box of cereal has either added protein or their existing protein on the outside of the box. It's protein. And it's like, and there's a war on protein? Because I must have missed that. I feel like maybe we're in the demilitarized zone here. I don't get it.
There's that protein water. Somebody just texted me and they said that they took a poll of Republican and Democratic friends. They said the one thing that they had in common is no one trusts the mainstream media. So take from that what you will. Let's go to a commercial, Allan.
Hi, I'm Eric Sabri, your Wayne County Treasurer. If you're living in a home of a deceased family member and you're facing property tax foreclosure, the probate process can be helpful to you. If you file a probate petition and notify our office, the foreclosure proceedings will be halted during the probate process. Contact us at 313-224-5990 or email us at taxinfo@waynecounty.com. We're here to help.
Well, just because there's not enough black squid ink to obfuscate the world for the president, his modus operandi apparently is launching criminal investigations against any and all. One of these is against Michigan's own Senator Alyssa Slotkin because of a video that she had been disseminating in which she was imploring people to refuse taking illegal orders within the military. This is something that fellow Senator from Arizona, Mark Kelly, also did and has now received a censure from Department of Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth. There is also a criminal probe that has been launched into the outgoing Federal Reserve Board Chairman Jerome Powell, allegedly for cost overruns for the new Federal Reserve Board building, not the ballroom, of course, that Trump is working on. So this is out there. Steve,
I don't know if you all remember when Trump and him went to the area. Remember they had the hats on and this and that, and Trump absolutely lied about something, and Powell just said, "Well, no, that's not so. It's not this building. It's not this edition." And he was very calm about it. What he did this time, this guy deserves, I don't know what kind of award we can give him. We only have Schmuck of the Week. If we have Saint of the Week, I nominate him because what he did, and when I watched how he did it, he was calm and collected. He spoke in regular English. He didn't curse at anybody. And he told the 100% truth. And I'm sure you all noticed, did you see the number of people that came and backed him? All the former chairs of the Federal Reserve, all the former Treasury secretaries. That's the kind of response we need. We need a lot more of that from Democratic politicians, as far as I'm concerned, and we need a lot more of it from people in the media who are always trying to pay both sides or whatever. Jerome Powell, that statement was absolutely, every single word of it was true, and every single word of it basically was, without acting that way, really, fuck you, Mr. Trump. That's basically what he told him, but he did it in the way you should do it. And I just thought that it was fantastic.
that video that you're talking about, Trump is saying, yeah, you spent this. And he goes, no, that was from 5 years ago. And he goes, no, it's not. He goes, yes, it was. You know, I mean, this guy's using facts and Trump is just using whatever.
One other thing about that, I think it's important for everybody to understand something that I really didn't pay much attention to before. The fact that his term as the chair of the Federal Reserve is over, really in the long run doesn't mean a whole hell of a lot. Number one, he can stay on, as I think we've seen since this, as a member. And number two, there's no guarantee whoever they put in his chair, that person gets one vote, just like anybody else. And when you're reading the commentary from a lot of the different people around the country that are as part of the Federal Reserve, a lot of them are saying the same thing that Powell's saying. No, we're not going to have another interest rate cut, blah, blah. He makes it sound, and a lot of his people probably buy into this, that somehow when Powell's gone, interest rates will be 1%. Everything will go in. Right. That's really an insult to the rest of the people that are on that board, because those people take things seriously. They're trying to make decisions that positively affect the rest of the country. And for him to pretend, and his people, some of his people, to follow along, oh, everything will be different then, the interest rates will be nothing, is bullshit. So,
yeah.
It's par for the course.
I can't agree with everything that Steve said more, but I want to try and make 2 points. One, there's a reason that we made the Federal Reserve an independent agency. And presidents have always taken the credit when the stock market's up. Trump always does it. Presidents have almost nothing to do with what the stock market goes up. The Feds have a lot more influence. And if Trump had his way, he'd destroy the economy. There's no question in my mind about it. He'd have interest rates at 1%. Stock market would not react well to that. And we'd be in trouble. Second thing is that one of the worst things about what's happening here, people resigning as prosecutors and such, is that there's not going to be anything left of the institutions. You know, these career prosecutors are almost all gone. And we've got some pretty bad people who are still there. Trump has effectively destroyed what we believed. And the Democrats, unfortunately, are not likely to do much better. You know, these investigations, you know why the Republicans should be screaming about this? What's going to happen in 2 years when the Republicans are out and the Democrats are in? Democrats are going to use the same. And we might think that would make us feel good for a little while, but what we're doing is destroying everything this country was built on. I urge everyone to look at Stephen Miller's meltdown on CNN. They simply don't believe in democracy. They don't believe in it. And
no, they really don't.
Throw it out, and they ought to be in charge. And they're succeeding at that.
Yep.
Well, I mean, this is the whole thing, though, Bill, right?
By the way, I'm sorry. Can I say one more thing? Jonathan?
You're number one.
Well, there's also, of course, a certain level of contempt that people have for Congress, and that might be more than just something metaphoric. It looks like Bill and Hillary Clinton have decided to defy a congressional subpoena of a committee that's looking into the Epstein files, saying we don't got to do it. So,
wrote a banger of a letter saying so too. I don't know if you read it. It was in most of I think the New York Times and a few others published it in full. It was on their
Hillary wrote it.
Media. I'm sorry, what?
Everyone figures that Hillary was the one who wrote it. It had that kind of Hillary.
It had that Hillary kind of but it was well done. And she basically said, "You are not serious people, and we're not going to cooperate with you." So.
I thought the more effective thing that Bill Clinton did, by the way, was to demand that they release all of the Epstein file with anything with his name on, unredacted. Where's Trump saying that? Why isn't Trump saying that? Yes, I agree with Bill. Release everything with my name on it, unredacted.
Supposedly he yelled at
He's much like Jonathan. He's a coward.
There's a process to challenge a subpoena, though. You can go to court and ask that it be quashed. I mean, that's the procedure. I don't know why they didn't follow the procedure. I mean, I understand you think it's bullshit and you're being targeted and it's irrelevant and who gives a shit. But there's a procedure in place. You got lawyers. You're both lawyers. Get a lawyer, file a motion.
Where's Abby Lowell these days?
Seriously, there's a process for that. There's a whole procedure. I mean, I think you got to honor this. You got to go through the process if you're going to respect it. If we're saying you got to respect the procedure, you got to respect the rule of law, then so do the fucking Clintons. Respect the rule of law, file your motion, let the judge say it's bullshit. It will have a lot bigger impact than your self-serving letter. That's my point.
I agree with that 100%. But I will say this, and Joel and Bill, I think you guys haven't done it either. I've never represented anybody that received a subpoena from Congress. Okay. Anytime anybody gets any kind of notification from the government, they have the right to come and hire somebody like me before they even have to appear. I just had something yesterday with the guy who they wanted to depose him. Well, I got in touch with him, blah, blah, blah. You go through a lawyer. It's hard, Barb, what people are saying that she wrote that letter. If she did that, then in the immortal words of Jack Nicholson, she's even dumber than she thinks I think she is. Nobody should ever deal with the government at any level without going through a lawyer. I don't care how smart you think you are. I don't care if you're a lawyer yourself. You have to be a fool not to have somebody else that is in between you and them. I agree with Joel. The way, but we don't know. At least I don't know. I don't know if there are different rules somehow when it's a congressional committee. But it would seem to me, as Joel said, you could go to the district court, to the federal court in D.C., and you could file an objection like you would do if it was a regular case here in Detroit or whatever, and let the judge make a ruling. And if the judge chooses to have a hearing about it, the judge may say it's going to be a hearing outside the presence of everybody. It might be an open hearing. But the point being, I thought it was lousy to do it the way they did it. Whether the letter was clever or cute, I really disagreed with it.
Hey, Steve, what's up?
Is it possible that they have a lawyer working on it at the same time?
But then their press agent should have said something. I mean, that's just a bad look to show that they're thumbing their nose at the system. Steve, was that Nicholson quote from the first or the second half of Purple Rain?
That Nicholson quote came from the great movie, the best movie ever, Chinatown. And Louis was
been proclaimed.
Louis was the sergeant, and Louis was poking Nicholson, telling him that he had something to do with Hollis Mulroy's death. And Nicholson said, "Louis, if you believe that, you're even dumber than you think I think you are." I've never forgotten that line, and I said it on more than one occasion in court in response to an idiotic motion or something from the prosecutor. If he believes that, I did it with the guy that went to Mumford with me, was in the prosecutor's office. I said, if he believes that, he's even dumber than I think, than he thinks I think he is.
It is a great movie. Forget it, Jake. It's Chinatown. So, yeah.
Well, it looks like, at least for now, the president has retracted from his threat to go ahead and attack and invade Iran, ostensibly because of the regime's treatment of protesters, notwithstanding the American government's treatment of American protesters, but said that since Iran has notified him, apparently this is the new hotline, that they will not be executing anybody. He has decided to put the foot off the pedal a little bit. Just on a very cursory basis, this is foreign policy that is just a snow globe of flakes that are just floating around now. Nobody believes anything that we have to say anymore, and there is no reliability.
The Greenland story, just, I mean, all of these things, like Barb said, it is just such a constant fire hose of bad news that woman was killed in Minneapolis a week ago Wednesday. And and she's already way in the rearview mirror. It's like we're talking about 3 other things now. And the Greenland stuff, I mean, the Danes are moving troops into Greenland to
it's not just the Danes, it's the Germans, it's the French, it's the Canadians, all
NATO.
A NATO country from another NATO country.
Putin's puppet, man. Tiller is right. Putin's puppet.
with respect to Iran, here's my thought on it. Well, it's not really mine. I've done an awful lot of reading. A lot of people who are Iranian experts, either they worked in the government or whatever it was. Number one, when he says something like that, they stop shooting protesters. Really? How the fuck would he know that? How would any of us know that? You got an almost total blackout on what's going on in there.
Right.
Number two, what better thing could you do for the Iranian regime than say, oh yeah, let's go and we'll talk about the nuclear stuff again. Why not just keep your trap shut and let the protests continue? Because it has to come from inside. It can't come from outside. We haven't done very well trying to impose things from outside. And for him to talk like that, oh yeah, they called me up and they said they're not killing anybody anywhere. Really? Well,
the problem with this is that it started off with, as it usually does in Iran, and this has been going on for 130 years. Usually, the bazaar merchants, not bizarre, but bazaari merchants,
right.
They agitate, they get to the streets, and they actually do bring about change. Where it didn't work was when we co-opted it in '53, along with the British, to bring down a democratically elected prime minister because he nationalized the oil fields, and now, because nobody wants to talk about it here because lest they get accused of being anti-Semitic, even the Israeli press is reporting how Mossad is bragging that we're on the ground in Iran and we're facilitating the violent protesters. 350 mosques have been torched. That's not something that a bunch of disgruntled economically challenged Iranians are ever going to do. So I think that these things have backfired now because apparently Iran told Trump that we're going to go ahead and release the confessions of people who said that they're on the payroll of Mossad and CIA, and apparently they've got the wire transfer receipts. So this is almost as bad as when those helicopters crashed in Iran in back in 1980.
Yep.
So,
by the way, I saw that the Shah of Iran's son is looking forward to going back and leading the country.
Yeah, boy, that's a guy they're really waiting for. Yeah.
And even Trump said that he doesn't have much confidence in him. I mean, how low does that have to go?
Oh my God.
Actually, he just increased the confidence in the guy for me. If Trump doesn't trust him, maybe I should.
Now see, Bill, that's like the same conundrum that I had about the guy impersonating somebody from Deadline Detroit. So I feel you. Well, Steve, you must feel like the white smoke has come out of Chrysler Arena or Yost or wherever you wanted to, because Michigan has a new president. It looks like Kent Syverud is going to be the university's 16th president. And by the way, I looked this up. When I was an undergrad, Harold Shapiro was the first president that I remember, and I think he was like the 7th or 8th. And so that means that within the last 40 years, Michigan has had half of their total presidentship being appointed. That turnover just baffles me. What do you think about this guy?
People just don't stay in the same job very long anymore.
I was just going to say, have you checked out the superintendent of a public school system? I mean, those guys are constantly moving. I mean, it's like being in the military. You serve 2 years here and 2 years there, and you move on. And I think that's the same with college presidents. I mean, look at the money these people make. I mean, it's insane. I mean, Ohio State, they had Gordon Gee or whatever was making, buku dollars, and it's all about raising money for the university. I mean, that's why they're valuable employees. It's not like, just presiding over the diag. So.
Hey, that's a tough job.
It is a tough job. I mean, but
hear Steve talk about this guy.
I don't know anything about him. I agree with you guys. This business about that, it seems to be very transitory nowadays. The only thing I noticed was how old he was, which I thought was kind of weird. I mean, it's kind of consistent with what you guys are saying. You're not looking for someone for the next 20 years when you hire a guy 67, I think he is.
67 or 68, yeah. Like that.
No, yeah. I know nothing of him, and I honestly haven't really paid any attention to it other than I saw how old he was. That was basically it.
It's a great job.
They want someone who knows how to run something. They should hire Dusty May as the president. Then guys will be at practice. Guys will be in shape.
Well, that's something that apparently isn't even a requirement anymore for ICE agents. You don't have to be in shape. You don't have to do a push-up.
15 push-ups, 30 sit-ups, and run a mile and a half in 14 minutes.
We're very generous in that
Now
interpretation.
I could still do that. That's ridiculous.
I think I could walk a mile and a half in 14 minutes.
We were talking about that in the gym today, whether or not we could do that. Just walk.
Yeah.
Probably, you'd have to walk fast, but you could probably do it.
Yeah, I think so.
Well, now, if anybody asks you to do the presidential fitness test that you did back in school, you can just call the person asking you to do it a pedophile protector. So
It's now, first of all, it's now the presidential cognitive test, not fitness.
Man, woman.
Duly noted. Well, we had another passing sort of legend this past week. Bob Weir, founding member of the Grateful Dead, passes away at the age of 78. Any thoughts, reflections, Barb? I know you've got to at least have one.
I don't think there's a band I dislike as much as the Grateful Dead.
And that's what I want.
Huh.
Okay. I think songs. I grew up in the Motown era. I think songs should be 3 minutes long, and then play another one. That's my kind of music. Let's not diddle on the guitar for an hour and a half until the LSD starts to wear off.
Yes.
Having said that, I am friends with a lot of musicians in the Detroit area, and they are in deep mourning. And so I have kept my mouth shut on social media about it. I do hope that they take his shorts and that's going to be his great. Have you ever seen Bob Weir? Does not wear pants. He wears cutoffs until he probably died in a pair of cutoff jeans. It's true.
Well, Barb,
that's not cutoffs weather up there.
It doesn't matter.
He was co-owner. He was co-owner of the vegetarian restaurant Seva in Ann Arbor.
Oh, really?
I did not know that.
He did have ties. That's why when he came to Ann Arbor back in the late 80s, it was always a bit of a homecoming for him. You could check in on the restaurant. And he was there when I sold the Grateful Dead harmonicas because theirs had been stolen on the way back.
The Grateful Dead fans love the Grateful Dead. They travel with the Grateful Dead. They're Grateful Dead fans for life. I've been to a couple shows. It is a great time. Everybody's in such a great mood. I mean, if you're not smiling, somebody's going to say, "Hey, why aren't you smiling?" It's just a good time. So, I have a cousin who is a lawyer who does business, not litigation, just corporate law. He followed them for years. He went to Penn. People love the Dead, and I think there's a lot to be said for that type of love. I don't know, is it Fish that's going to be, going to be the new group? I don't know, but having that type of community was pretty cool.
Right. In that sense, it was a cruder equivalent would be like parrot heads at Jimmy Buffett shows. I mean, the crowd was as much a part of the experience as the band on the stage.
Right.
I think I saw them 3 or 4 times, and my milestone was the very first time I smoked weed and got high. It was at a Dead show, and I was like, and there's something about that when that happens to you at a Grateful Dead show, it like changes your brain for the rest of your life. So
those two things, Nancy. Yeah. Was that concurrent?
Did you say that you inhaled and enjoyed it?
I inhaled, I enjoyed it, and I there we go. And I loved it, although I was not one of those people who bought every single record. I mean, American Beauty, Working Man's Dead, Europe 72, maybe one other, and you're covered,
And walking the parking lot of a Grateful Dead show was a great time. I mean, that was just a lot of fun. People just a bunch of kids, some older hippies. It was just, again, walking the lot pregame is a lot of fun. And then post-show is a blast. I mean, I'm telling you, if you go to those things, it's a wonderful time because everybody's pretty much wonderful.
Yeah. I agreed. I thought Nancy hit it exactly on. I went to one Grateful Dead concert. I enjoyed it, but I wasn't a Deadhead. I was a big Jimmy Buffett fan. And the events are almost identical. My guess is that you could open Pine Knob and just put videos of those guys up there and it would
And
be
people
almost the
would
same event. It's still stands. And that's why you go to these events.
Springsteen like
that's
25, 30 times. So
That's
I
true.
get
Joel,
that part of it.
Joel, I think the Deadhead has been replaced by the Swiftie in this generation.
It's a
So
whole, it's a whole different culture, you know, kind of.
yeah, a whole absence of drugs. So,
Yeah, I don't know how you can enjoy music, quite frankly. But go ahead.
Well, I remember when Ann Arbor sort of became this big commune for when the Dead were in town. And by the way, they offered me tickets, and I politely declined. I just wasn't a fan at the time. But someone brought in a school bus that was all psychedelically painted, but on the top of the school bus they had welded on the top of a VW camper van to make it the quintessential Deadmobile. Yeah,
I was at a Jimmy Buffett show at Pine Knob, and somebody had one of those things. Only on the top of it, they had a hot tub, and it was great. They were just partying up there, and a barbecue grill. It was obviously a lot of fun. So, and then the polar opposite was some other guy had just an F-150 pickup truck where he had put like an inflatable kiddie pool in the bed and filled it with water. And he and his girlfriend are just, sitting in there with a cocktail and just having a good time. So.
The person who was most confused when the Grateful Dead was in town was Shaky Jake. If any of you ever knew the great
Jake, yeah.
Ann Arbor street icon, he was like, "What the hell is going on here?" He just couldn't understand all of that. All right, Alan, let's go to our last segment.
Okay.
You know what? I am having a difficulty. There's something frozen on my screen here. Nancy, can you play the final?
Oh, I guess I can look for it here. Media assets. I'm the co-administrator of the show, so this is. We can always just I can do one of my famous impersonations.
You guys are looking like CBS.
Yeah, something's frozen here.
Too soon.
And it's for so long. It goes for so long that I think I have. Yeah, I'm not having any luck here finding it. Why don't we just
Schmuck of the week?
Yeah.
Downtown Detroit.
Oh, wait.
Downtown Detroit. Robert Weir, Schmuck of the week.
There we go.
Well, that's perfect.
Nobody does it like Robert.
Bill.
Well, I'm glad I go first because a lot of people would probably want this one this week. Stephen Miller is my Schmuck of the week. I mentioned it earlier. If you haven't seen it, please go look at his interview with Jake Tapper and that meltdown. It is clear this guy wants nothing to do with democracy, and he's the guy pulling the strings at the White House. He's terrifying. He's a bad human being, and we have to do everything we can to stop him, which would include some investigations as soon as the Democrats take over.
Absolutely.
Nuremberg trials. That's what I want to these people.
Actually, no, the Nuremberg trials were too soft.
Yeah.
For this.
Yeah.
I mean, we really got to get tough on
the
this.
guillotine right outside the courthouse.
Barb.
It's a week for that. The Department of Homeland Security. I was looking for how many people have been killed by ICE. It's something like 32.
33. I look
33. Thank you.
Yeah.
And I went and there was a guy that was shot this week. And if you read it, it really is the upside down. Federal law enforcement officers were conducting a targeted traffic stop in Minneapolis by this man who was, and then in bold letters, who was released into the country by President Joe Biden in 2022.
Oh my!
And then it describes how they snatched this guy, and he and his friends fought back with shovels and broomsticks. Now, I approve of fighting back when somebody just tries to snag you on the street. But they shot the guy in the leg and dragged him off. And then you read this, and it was probably just like three guys coming home from work, and they were I think they were maintenance people because that's what they had. It's so it just is getting worse, and they're just not going to agree to any kind of stops on them. This is the part that really scares me, and I think that it is going to get real ugly. And I also would like to know, I have a question. Have you guys heard anything of the Sasha Riley tapes?
No. What
Sasha Riley is a member of the Marine Corps, but when he was a child, the story is his stepfather sold him to Epstein.
Oh, that. Yeah, I saw that. That's a little far-fetched.
Do you think so, really? Do you think that there's a limit to these people's depravity?
No, there is no limit.
Well, the idea that his own father sold him to Jeffrey, it's too on the nose, or stepfather. It was
but aren't these some of the allegations that were going around about how did the parents of kids interact with Michael Jackson?
True.
To give them access to Jacko.
Yeah.
So
and a lot of the parents of the young women were noticeably absent from what was happening to their daughters. So right. I don't know. But if it's even close to true, it was. I only went through a little corner of it, and it's like I have to be able to sleep at night, so I'm not going to read any more of this or listen to it.
It was pretty gross. Yeah.
Okay.
It is pretty bad.
Steve.
Mine, I have two. One is Jeanine Pirro, the U.S. Attorney in Washington, D.C., and one of her subordinates, an AUSA by the name of Carlton Davis, who has no experience whatsoever of being an actual lawyer, but he did work for James Comer there in the House Rules Committee, or whatever the hell it is. My making them Schmuck of the Week, in addition to just their normal every week being Schmucks of the Week, the way they conducted this business with Jerome Powell is almost unimaginable to a real criminal lawyer. They claimed that they wanted to talk to him, right? Now, in the normal world, somebody contacts somebody. Agents might come to the house, knock on the door. They might bring a subpoena. No. They sent an email, and they were saying that they would be happy to hop on a call with him to discuss all this business with the renovation. And of course, they didn't respond. Happy to hop on a call. You get something like that from an assistant United States attorney. If that doesn't make both of them Schmucks of the Week, I don't know what. At the end of the day, they claim now there was no ongoing investigation. We just wanted him to hop on a call. That's the way law enforcement is supposed to act, okay? They are the government. If they want to get in touch with somebody, you don't send them some bullshit email saying you'll be happy to hop on a call and then use as a justification for starting the criminal investigation. According to Jeanine Pirro, there was no investigation at the time. We all know that's got to be horseshit. It's got to be. Why else would you be asking somebody to, quote, hop on a call? So, Jeanine, as usual, and your buddy Carlton Davis, whoever he is, those are my Schmucks of the Week. And if that's the way we're going to conduct business in United States attorneys' offices, I'm not certain how we go forward from here.
We hop on a Zoom. Yeah.
Wasn't there a Carlton Davis who used to be on Match Game every now and then? So that's Clifton Davis.
I thought I played against the Carlton Davis at Detroit Southeastern, to tell you the truth, but I doubt very much he's working for Jeanine Pirro. That's for sure.
And by the way, Steve, what would you do if a client called up and said, I got an email from the Justice Department? I mean,
I can tell you exactly what I would do. I would contact the Justice Department. I would say, my client of mine says and shows it to me that he got an email, and I'd like to talk to whoever in the fuck it was that sent him the goddamn
email. My first assumption would be this is a scam. That's not how the Justice Department operates. Right. It's not how it happens. Right. Now, scammers do stuff like that. But Justice Department, I've dealt with the federal government a lot. I've never seen anything like that. It's ridiculous.
There you go.
Even Ed McMahon didn't send an email saying you may have won $1 million. Joel.
Yeah, mine is going to be kind of twofold. I think it's Mark Wayne, the Oklahoma senator.
Mark Wayne Mullins. Yeah.
What the fuck it is? He's an idiot. So I'm watching him, and he's clinging to this distortion of reality that Renee Good was responsible for her own death. And there is such a willingness to, and this is frightening. It's a phenomenon. We're not believing our own eyes, or at least half the country, or whatever it is, or their own ears, and bending reality to Trump's vision of what reality is. And the continuation of Republicans and the public legitimizing this incredible distortion, this delusion, is, I think, the most frightening aspect that I'm watching, is that reality doesn't matter. Facts do not matter. Truth has become irrelevant. And we're living in a world where we're driven by a madman who has a willfully blind following who loves to do his bidding. And that portends awful, awful things. We're not near bottom at all. And that scares me as well. When Trump talks about immunity for these agents, he is giving them a license to kill. My guess, you'll have an executive order. There'll be something insane. They're encouraging this, and they're going to continue. Stephen Miller, again, sees sheer power, brute force, as government. That's what government is. It's brute force. It's coercion. You will bend to my will or you will die. Right. You'll get sent away. You'll be stripped of your assets. This is the ethos of this administration, and it's an ethos that's spreading downward because I see it and I hear it and I read it, and that is the most terrifying aspect of what I've been watching. Murder and shootings like this, they're encouraged by the administration. They're encouraged by Republicans by failing to acknowledge what happened with Renee Good, which you can see. And those are my schmucks.
Good one.
All right, Nancy.
I also have two, since we're now allowing 2 schmucks per week. I think my first one has to be Maria Corina Machado for going along with the preposterous Trump claim that he somehow owns part of her Nobel Prize, Peace Prize, if not all of it. I mean, she actually went along with it and gave him her medal. She gave it to him yesterday. And, you know, part of that is you could say, well, she cares more about her country than about this thing. But all it's going to do is it's not going to have the effect that she thinks it's going to have. It's just proving her to be as bad as all the rest of them. A joke, exactly. I'm sorry I stole your schmuck. My second one.
I would just add to that. I would have just given him a bowling trophy that says I bowled 250.
Exactly. And my second one is Metro Detroit's own Bill Pulte, who apparently was one of the instigators of this criminal investigation of Jerome Powell. And the way he got the big man's attention was he went to Mar-a-Lago and he had a wanted poster that he had made up with Jerome Powell's picture on it. You know, it's like a little prop because the president is basically operates on the level of a toddler, you know, and just how you distract a toddler with a new toy. This was this thing. Look, I made a wanted poster. I guess he's been beefing with Powell for some time. Powell kind of threw cold water on his 50-year mortgage plan. You know, that was one of Bill Pulte's. Why don't we have 50-year mortgages, a lifetime mortgage, basically rent to own for 50 years to get your house.
It's like in England, a 999-year leasehold.
Yeah, 9-year leasehold.
Indentured servitude was barred by the
right.
Crazy.
It is crazy, and that's what it would be.
It is crazy. So anyway, that's Bill Pulte, who has been really one of the he's not Stephen Miller level, but he's definitely deserves his own trial. He's been doing his he's been behind some of the worst of this administration's actions in the last year. So definitely.
All right. All right. Well, before Allan, we go to you. Just a blast from the past. The former host of Deadline Detroit, Craig Foley, he has submitted a schmuck of the week.
Right.
And that would be, go ahead.
Nancy, I'm going to need your assistance again. There's a video titled Tony DeCouple, who's the CBS. Craig Foley has picked Tony DeCouple as the schmuck of the week.
DeCouple.
Okay, hold on. Is it DeCouple?
It's DeCouple.
I did hear. Is it up at the top?
No, it's at the bottom of the
bottom of the thing. So
videos. Should say.
Okay, I'll keep looking. Sorry.
So he gave a salute to Marco Rubio. I mean, the guy is just sucking up. He's trying to say
He's a senator. He's now the face of U.S. foreign policy and President Trump's point man on Venezuela, all in addition to his roles as Secretary of State, interim national security advisor, and acting national archivist and USAID chief. whatever you think of his politics, you got to admit it's an impressive resume. And now AI memes have added to that portfolio, casting Secretary Rubio as the new governor of Minnesota, the new Shah of Iran, the prime minister of Greenland, the new manager of Manchester United, the head of Hilton Hotels, and highest of high honors of all, the new Michelin man. Now, back in real life, of course, these memes may not add up to much, but for Rubio's hometown fans, which are many around here in Miami, it is a sign of how Florida, once an American punchline, has become a leader on the world stage. Marco Rubio, we salute you. You're the ultimate Florida man.
This Putz was just in Detroit this week, also broadcasting. He has helped contribute to, with the now Barry Weiss run CBS, a decline in exactly 1.1 million viewers in the last year. So way to take the training wheels off the sled going all the way downhill. So, all right, Allan.
I'm going to go with the guy who we mentioned earlier, Jaden Scott, the guy from Bay City who went to Minneapolis, yelling crazy stuff at the protesters, and then also faking that he was a CEO. Here's a CEO picture. That was a picture on a made-up webpage, which I
got to try that.
Could have suspected something, but he duped a lot of media, and so.
Well, I mean, I know they announced this week that Star Search is back, but it looks like Dance Fever's back as well.
Danny Terrio.
There you go. There you go. Good one, Sean. Okay, I've got a. Oh, no. He's gone too. The one on the right. Well, I've got two. One is all the right-wing politicians who've been giving sterling, endorsements for Hungary's right-wing president Viktor Orban in his re-election campaign, including Italy's Giorgia Meloni and Matteo Salvini, Germany's Alice Weidel, France's Marine Le Pen, and of course that European par excellence, Israel's own Prime Minister Bibi Netanyahu. All sucking up to this right-wing thug from Budapest. But the schmuck of the week has to go to chairman of Oracle, sees himself as a media megalomaniac, gave to his Nepo baby son, David, CBS and Paramount. That would be Larry Ellison. Not satisfied with all of his net worth as it already is, one of the richest men in the world, he decided he was going to get a new yacht, a 191-footer, which he then named, because Ellison is known to have a real Japanese fetish about everything Japanese, named the boat after a Shinto deity, which is the female creator of creation itself and death, Izanami. Well, the problem with that is that if you take Izanami and look at it backwards, it says, you guessed it, I'm a Nazi.
That's great.
So it looks like Mr. Ellison had to then hastily go ahead and rename the boat. I think Monkey Business might still be available.
Why don't you just do what everybody does and just call it, like, make some pun on drinking, like Amy's Winehouse was my favorite. I saw that on the Sinclair one.
Sake backwards is ECAS, so I don't know. Maybe he could do that.
He is ready for Jobby Nooner.
There you go. Yes. There's a Jobby Nooner. Bring that 191-footer out into Lake St. Clair. So yeah, Larry Ellison.
Different than you and I. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a whole different world. Anyway, we went over a little bit of time, but please beg our indulgence. Thank you for joining us for another show. Yes, even you, Johnny. Thank you, Joel Sklar. Thank you, Bill Seikaly. Thank you, Steve Fishman. Thank you, Barb Ingalls. Thank you, Nancy Derringer. And thank you with the last word always, Allan Lengel.
Drive home safely.
Take care, everybody. Have a great weekend.